Welcome to Sorcha and Lilac, the Island Knitter Podcast TV. I'm Claire, and here you'll find a cozy mix of knitting, music, and stories inspired by Orkney life. So, did I finish my knitting plans in 2025? Well, yes and no. 2025 turned out to be a surprisingly busy year. I released 3 new knitting patterns: the Tresness Summer Tee, the Tresness Shorts, and the Evie Simple Yoke, which you can see modelled here on my very own fashion runway. No tickets required, just tongue-in-cheek. The Evie Simple Yoke was designed to be simple enough to layer up, so it works nicely over winter staples like leggings and long-sleeve t-shirts, because let's be honest, we knit for real life, not just photos. I also worked on a sample version of the Evie Simple Yoke, adding colour work and lace stitchery as an optional variation, and I was very pleased with how that turned out. It behaved itself, always a bonus. The Tresness Summer Tee really became my statement piece of the year. I love the shaping and the delicate lace edging. It's one of those garments that makes you feel a bit more put together, even if the rest of your outfit is doing its own thing. Not often shown, but very close to my heart, is the Noltland Collection, inspired by the Renaissance period with a small modern twist. It was created using local yarns. Everything from cashmere to North Ronaldsay sheep, with a little Spanish influence thrown in thanks to the Robalesa breed. A very international affair for something knit in Orkney. Then there's my personal favourite piece of the year, the Cerise Frosty cardigan, with its frilled edges echoing a sweater I made the year before. I've written all the notes for the pattern, but the pattern itself is still living in my imagination. I do have a second version on the needles, which I've been trying to finish for quite some time. We'll call it a slow burn. Over the summer, I treated myself to some cotton yarn from a tiny yarn shop on Anglesey, and I also finished a shawl using some beautiful yarn sent to me by a viewer. That design was based on an original piece from the Noltland collection, so it felt like things coming full circle. Later in the year, I released the pattern for the cotton knitted shorts, which could very easily become trousers if you simply keep knitting and lengthen the legs. This is something I fully intend to do, eventually. But 2025 wasn't just about knitting. It was also the year I started writing history mysteries and music. I'm now a published author with my own Amazon Kindle bookstore, which still feels slightly unreal. I'm about to continue the series with a new book titled Guildford's Crusade, set during the Tudor era. Alongside that, I created a soundtrack playlist for the entire series, which I'll link below. During the summer, I also helped redecorate a caravan, and in doing so accidentally created another group of characters you may already recognize from the channel. That project led to a small storytelling colouring book featuring many of them. One thing I didn't expect this year was how much interest there's been in the way I work out yokes. I made a series of podcasts talking through my approach, using my own measurements and a bit of very friendly maths. And that's led to some lovely conversations, comments, and quite a few new subscribers. So I thought I'd include it here because if it helps someone else feel more confident about shaping a garment, then it's worth revisiting.
To just have a little chat about the big split. Now, if you've already got to that point in your circular yoke that you're going to split for the body and the arms, this is just a few little notes. I actually haven't got to the big split yet. I've been working on my friend's cardigan. It's coming along very well, actually. I've done a bit of big splitting on that one as well, but that's for another tale. Anyway, so when you come to the big split, we've started at the 90 stitches at our neck, and then we get to the point where we've cut, we get to the chest point, which we need, was it 315 stitches? Yeah, so 315 stitches. Now, if you know the measurement for your biceps, you're going to take off, say, in my case, I'm taking off 66 stitches on each side. So that's 132 stitches in total, isn't it? So I've done a little diagram. The diagram, again, is just half of one side, really. So you've got to the split. If you're using a 4.5mm needle, I would say 54 stitches and 180 stitches around the body, and 54 stitches on the other side. So that's the kind of split of the numbers that I'm going to use for a 4.5mm needle. But going back to our 4mm analogy, you'd need 66 stitches to for your sleeves on each side. 203 stitches for a 4mm needle is what your body will be. Now, at this point in the construction of this yoke, you have been joining all the way down, haven't you? You've had your stitch marker where you start the new row. So this join could now be incorporated into the sleeve area. So I work from the join across the body. So I've got 203 stitches. I want to half it, don't I? So it's like 101.5. So let's say 102. So I knit across 102. Then I cast on 10 stitches for under the arm. I'll talk about that in a bit. So I cast on 10 stitches for under the arm and then knit back across the other 101 if you want to make it fit, or just do 102 stitches to make 204. It's either here or there. But in between that point, I have put my 66 stitches onto a piece of coloured thread to hold them until later when I want to knit the sleeves. Then I've knitted across again, as I say, the 102 stitches, and I do exactly the same thing and cast on 10 stitches for that underarm and put the next 66 stitches onto a coloured thread. So you come back to the beginning again where your stitch marker is. So you've done a full row. So let's just do that, say that again, because I want to make it more clear. So I've started at my join and I've gone across 102 stitches, which is literally a half of what I needed for my chest measurement. I cast on 10 stitches. Then I put the next 66 stitches onto a coloured thread. Yeah. Then I join back into the work and knit the next 102 across. So the 102 and 102 make 204. You just one stitch out. And then I cast on another 10 stitches for the underarm, and then I put the next 66 stitches onto another piece of coloured thread, and I'm back to my join. And at this point, I could just start knitting all the way down. If I'm doing plain stocking stitch, fine. That is the point. That's the big split. You've added on 10 stitches for your underarm, and you've put your sleeves onto pieces of coloured thread, which you can go back to later, and then you knit downwards. You can shape it. You can just leave it straight. You could knit a dress. You could knit a top. You could knit a maxi dress from that point onwards. The thing about the 10 stitches under the arm is important, because if you've used your, shall we say, bare minimum measurement, like I would use a 40-inch measurement, when I add on the 10 stitches on either for the underarms, it brings me back to about 43 to 44 inches, which is my true chest measurement. Just nice fit, close fit. those 10 stitches are useful because you can either decrease the amount to get a negative ease, or you can increase the amount to get an even more positive ease around your chest measurement, which is something to think about. Also, if you are using cables, lace patterns, Fair Isle, those 10 inches are useful because you will still need to fit all your pattern repeats into your chest measurement. Now, adding on 10 stitches on either side, that's 20 stitches in total, is maybe going to mess that up. So you will need to make sure that all your repeats fit into your, now, what would it be for me? 203 plus 20, 223 stitches. 223, 224 stitches now has to accommodate, say, a lace pattern or a Fair Isle pattern. So you'll need to make sure that all your stitches are going to fit your pattern. To keep it simple, I always have something like a 5-stitch pattern, which would go in there, or because it's got a 4 on the end or a 3 on the end, you would need to really either take a stitch off or put a stitch on somewhere, better where the join is, I think, or under the arm. Under the arm is the best place to adjust your fit and adjust your pattern, because it's not going to be seen straight off. I always find those areas difficult, particularly when you're dealing with a Fair Isle pattern. If you're doing an all over Fair Isle pattern, you want it to match up with what you've done before, then you really have to sit and calculate the stitching. But yeah, that's something for you to think about and look at beforehand. So very important, measure yourself, keep a record of all your measurements, look at your ball band for the tension swatch, keep to the tension swatch as best as you can. Calculate the amount of stitches you need for rows. The amount of stitches and rows you need for each inch. And then that helps you to calculate your chest measurements and the length of your garment, and start casting on for your neck, from your neck, and doing the first increase row and measuring your shoulder, dividing the yoke between the neck and the chest, and how we increase and where we increase. And then today we've just touched a bit on the big split, how we split the arms from the body. And that, once you've done that, the sky's the limit. You can do what you like with your design. You can have bell sleeves, straight sleeves, balloon sleeves, and then your body could be smocked. It could be A-line. You could have a nice shaped waist. You just may need only to do a nice straight up and down one. Make a dress, make a tunic, make a maxi dress if you're in the mood for that. Imagine, a lot of people like to knit their wedding dresses these days. There's a fly coming around here all the time. You could knit your wedding dress using the same principles of a simple round neck, top down. Basically it's a long tunic, isn't it? You could do that using a lovely lace pattern. And if you're changing the wool, the yarn that you're using, the ply of it, say it was a 3/4 ply instead of a double knit, as long as you look at the ball band and see what the tension swatch is, you can fit that in with your measurements. So I hope that was a little help to you today. And as I say, keep knitting.